Hello everyone and welcome back to our logistics pipes tutorial video. This is Wylker and I'm here with Zorro, one of the lead devs for logistics pipes, and this is part 2 of our tutorial. In part 2 we're going to be covering some of the more advanced features of logistics pipes, as well as doing some demonstrations for a couple builds and how logistics pipes can interact with other mods. So to jump right into it, by the way, hi Zorro. Hi.
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 So to jump right into it, I do want to clarify a couple things that either have been fixed or changed or that I left off of the part 1 video. The first is something really important. I don't know if you guys remember the entrance and exit pipes. What we talked about was how anything that enters into the entrance pipe is going to, regardless of anything else in the network, is going to end up going out of the exit pipe. Well, that's only true if you also set up your item cards. Okay, so the way an item card works is you come over here to your soldering station, and remember these need power. So it's got power running underneath it, and I've plugged the recipe in there. And you notice we've got kind of a ghost item here for our item card, and it's 2 iron chipsets, 2 blank modules, and an ender pearl. And once I give it iron, it's going to give me 2 item frequency cards. That's important because you can't cheat these in. There's no other way to do them. They only come in pairs. And you'll see that both your entrance and your exit pipe get an item card. Item cards are used for a couple things in addition to those entry and exit pipes. They're also used for logistics inventory connections, which are a little bit deprecated. People don't really use them that much anymore, especially since Tesseracts came out, but that's how you link those pipes together too. I'm not even gonna get into them because I don't know when the last time I used one was.
Yep.
What's that?
Yep.
Yeah. So the item cards go into the pipes that you want to talk and play nice to each other, and that's pretty simple, I think. What I do want to show you is a couple of items that we did not discuss. The first is going to be our upgrade manager. And the upgrade manager is used, you can right-click it on a pipe, and I'm going to show you this one first. So here's a logistics chassis. And you notice it actually has the security card in here, and that's in there by default because of our security station. But you notice the rest of it's blank. If you guys remember, I showed you how the disconnect upgrade works on this chassis. I'm sorry, on the supplier pipe. And if I right click it, you'll see, ta-da, there's the disconnection upgrade. So the upgrade manager will let you manage and add and remove the upgrades that you have on individual pipes. The other item I want to show you is the network monitor. And the reason the network monitor is important for this discussion is because if you right-click it on your network, it'll show you, and we're having a little bit of a bug here where for some reason it's not reading this, this network, but normally it'll show you the size of your routing table. It'll show you how many items that individual pipe has sent and received. I think that's just something with our build here. I don't think that's an actual issue out there, but Zorro's going to look at it, right, Zorro? Right, Wylker? Sure, Wylker. We're going to check that out. All right, good talk, buddy. All right, so the next important feature of it, though, is you can shift right-click in the air with it, and it'll bring up this kind of interface. Oops, let me get those cards. And then from this interface, these item cards actually have colors, and that's how you can link them. So you can set up any combination of colors that you want in these things. Okay. Black's not necessarily a good color because it's tough to see based off the next thing I'm going to show you. And then if you go back into your pipes here, and we put that in, notice when I hold the shift key down, all of my item cards light up. Okay, see that? And they light up with the pattern that I put in them, and that's how you can link them up between
Yeah, it's just
2 cards.
Just a visibility thing, actually.
Yeah.
It's just for you to get things sorted, to know what item card is for what.
Right. What card's linked up with what. All right. Pretty simple. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's another cool function to the network monitor, and it ties into another advanced feature I want to show you. Let's say, oh, I don't know. Let's say we had a stack of item sync modules, okay? Actually, we're going to do a half stack. And let's say I wanted to program all of these, you know, item syncs are a bad example. Let's say I had a stack of provider modules. That's a much better example. So I have a stack of provider modules. And let's say I wanted to program all of them to do the exact same thing. Without putting them into a pipe, if I just aim up in the air and I shift right click, it will pull up the interface for that module, just like I opened it inside of a pipe. And from in here, I can switch to, I don't know, leave one item per type. So if I wanted to have every single one of these be configured the same way to leave one item per type and to only provide, I don't know, honeycombs and bees. Now, when I close this interface out, if I were to go put this in a pipe, oh, permission denied, hilarious. All right. That's weird. Oh, it's out of energy. A poor logistics network. So now I can put a provider in there, and you'll notice when I open it that it has that exact same configuration that I set it up with over here. And then, oops. The other thing that lets you do is if I shift click this network monitor in the air again, then I can take one of these provider modules that I have. Let's make sure I have a blank one here that I have programmed. Okay, remember these are all programmed together, and I can put one in the left side and then a blank one, and it will also make it into a copy of the of another module. So you can copy modules to inside the network monitor, or of course, like I just showed you, you can use them to program them in bulk if you just shift right click them up in the air. The next important advanced feature we want to talk about is the security station. So the security station does all kinds of things for you. You'll notice we have it just hooked into the same little basic pipe as our power junction, but it doesn't have to be. It can be somewhere else in the network. And as a matter of fact, it does not protect itself. So Zorro suggested making sure that it's hidden and or protected wherever you end up putting it. This has got kind of a complicated interface, and I'll go through it. The checkboxes are pretty self-explanatory. This explains whether ComputerCraft, this indicates whether ComputerCraft is allowed to access your network. It indicates whether automatic, like block breakers and stuff, can remove pipes from the network, that kind of thing. If you want, you can also specifically exclude IDs from ComputerCraft. You'll notice that there's automatically a list of players down here, right? So I can click on Zorro's name here, for example, and I can click open, and these are the permissions that Zorro has. So for example, if I were to remove all these permissions, now Zorro cannot break any of the logistics pipes in my network anymore. You see that? And you can actually go through here. I can remove that permission for myself too. So I removed my ability to remove pipes. And now you'll notice when I try to break it, it says permission denied. Now, let's go back and fix that. You can also make security cards. And what a security card does is it automatically links an entire network to the security station. So I'm going to go ahead and push plus. That's going to give me a security card. I don't think the minus button does anything. Does the minus button do anything, Zorro?
It does. When you have a security card in there, you can remove that with a minus again, which is pretty unobvious.
But you can't. I don't think you can drop security cards into that box.
No.
Right. Okay.
No, you can only plus them.
Just making sure. So
you just deauthorized everything.
Yeah, I was just going to show that. So there's an authorize and a deauthorize. and that's going to control what your network is doing. So let's say I wanted to authorize our network here. We're going to make a security card. I'm going to take it, and all I got to do is go to any basic logistics pipes on that network and right-click it. And that links this entire network with this security station. So you notice, let's see, let's go back in here. Let's remove my ability to remove pipes. Okay, can't remove pipes. But if I were to walk over to here, I can remove that pipe. You see that? I killed that pipe. But if I come, let's get rid of this for a second. If I come back over to my security station and I grab another card for it, and come over here, now those are linked and I can no longer remove these pipes. Can I remove the power junction, or is it protected too, Zora?
Try.
I sure can.
You can. So hide the power junction, hide the security station.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Right.
All right.
It's like hiding your own things at home.
Now, I can make a deauthorization card, and that should remove, let's see, does that do what I think? Okay, so yeah, that breaks all the protections that I have set up. So in order to reset them up, I've got to make a new card over here and plug it in. And once again, oops, sorry, Zoro, this network's protected, and this one is not. Okay? Now, the other thing you can do is, obviously, sometimes individual players are going to want to have individual networks. So now here's a security station, right? And let's see. What we want to look at here is whether we're going to let Zoro do anything to this network. And you see that we don't. Whereas I can do everything to this network. Oops. Okay. So what these security stations also do, in addition to protecting themselves, they will also prevent networks from talking to each other. So if I were to do something like this, you ready for it? Watch. These are connected, okay? But, do you want to disable it, Zora?
Mm-hmm. What? Disable? Did you actually, did you link that? Oh.
No, I didn't link it.
Okay, let's just link this up with this security station, and I'll link this up with this security station.
So he grabbed the security card out of the station and clicked on that pipe. Okay. So now you see it automatically makes it so these pipes, these two networks won't connect. See how that's connected? And then when I try to do this, it breaks it. So this security station is protecting this network, and this security station is protecting this network, and it will not let them interact. Now the exception to that is you can do some cheeky stuff here. Like, for example, I could put an obsidian pipe in there. So an obsidian pipe will allow the physical transport pipes to connect, but the two networks are still not talking. So items from the logistics network over here are not going to flow to this side. Power doesn't flow. Nothing flows between the two. What you can do, however, which is kind of neat, is if you were to take a request pipe.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
It's okay.
Wrong part.
If you were to take a request pipe and, oh, I don't want to use that. Okay. Get rid of this. And go in here and make, oh, no permission.
Wait a second.
It's on, so that one's on Zoro's side of the network, so it won't let me open it. But now, anytime, sir. What you could do is you could come over here and you could request a couple gravel, and it's going to spit it into this network. So even though the logistics networks aren't talking, the request pipe is dumping it in the attached inventory, which is this obsidian pipe, and then it all ends up over here. Okay, so Next thing we wanted to demonstrate was some advanced functionality of the request pipe. Now, you guys remember we messed with the request pipe a little bit in part 1, just to show how you can request items out of your network and how it puts them in an attached inventory. Well, there's a couple things that we didn't cover. For example, if I were to click on this iron pickaxe and click on the content button, you'll notice it tells me down here exactly what's required to craft it and what's missing out of the network. And I'm actually glad I did that, because I want to show you something with those. Where's our supplier over here? Do you remember?
Supplier?
Our provider, sorry. So here, we'll toss some iron in there. So now when I click on here and I click on the iron pickaxe and I click on content, it'll show me 3 iron ingots and 2 oak wood planks are what's required to build that. Okay? Now I learned this just now talking to Zoro. I didn't know you could do this, but if you instead of using the buttons here for increments of 1, 10, or a stack, okay, 1, 10, 10, 10 down, see that, or stacks. You can also use your mouse scroll wheel. So if I scroll down one at a time, you'll notice it starts incrementing what my request is there. You can also hold Control and scroll and get increments of 10, or you can hold Shift and Control and scroll and get entire stack, increments of a stack. So that's really neat. The final thing I'll show you real quick, even though I find it super annoying, by default when you build a request pipe, this pop-up box is on. So if I were to click on this and click request, you're going to get this pop-up letting you know that your pickaxe request was successful. If you disable that and request one, it's just going to put it down in your chat log. And both of those will end up in the exact same place. One, and the other one will show up here in a minute. We briefly touched on the HUD goggles, and I want to show you just a couple quick things about the HUD goggles, specifically with crafting. You'll notice over here the crafting pipes that have the crafting signs on them show me what they make. If I don't have a crafting sign on a crafting pipe, it will show me what the result is. And if you have an active request, it will show you what the pending to do build is on there. And so now we go over and we look at our, where do we put that request order? I don't even remember. Doesn't matter. So it'll show you what the progress is of the crafting pipe if there's an active request in the system. Okay. Something that has gotten fixed since we talked about it last time is the Mark 1 liquid supplier pipe. And remember I mentioned to you, I'm going to take these goggles off. Remember I mentioned to you that it was kind of wonky before, that we didn't think it was working right. Well, now it is. So the way it works is, you notice I have 4 buckets of water available in my system. And this interface is completely different than the one we used for the Mark II supplier. Remember the Mark II supplier, we could select our liquid off of a list and then tell it how many buckets to supply or whatever. Well, this is much more simple. I have to provide it with an inventory equivalent of what we want to keep stocked. And as long as those, see those buckets? Here come the buckets. As long as those are in the inventory, it will come and dump its contents into the attached liquid inventory. And then those buckets will return over to my default route. This is probably most useful for things like forestry machines. But it works now, and it works and does a good job. Speaking of crafting, I want you to notice that in my crafting tables for this iron pickaxe, there are some ghost images down here in the actual inventory. And these are important because these represent reserved slots. So let's say I was for some reason ordering, I don't know, 30 stacks of iron pickaxes. Well, what would most likely happen is either all the ingots or all the sticks would show up first, and they would completely fill up this, this internal inventory. What the ghost item slots do is make sure that if 30 stacks of sticks show up at this crafting table, even if there's more than it can handle, it will always save these 3 slots for the iron ingots, and that'll prevent your crafting tables from getting backed up and unable to process whatever you requested from. So Just a neat feature to keep these things going. The final thing I want to show you with these crafting pipes is you'll notice I've built two crafting pipes here that both do the same thing. They both build iron pickaxes. Well, a fairly new feature on the crafting pipes is the priority system. So notice this has a priority of 1 and this has a priority of 1. And what that means is if I were to go into my remote requester here, let's put our HUD goggles back on so you guys can watch this happen. So in the old days, if I were to say request 5 or 6 of these things, one crafting table would build all 6 of them. It would be based on distance. So whichever one was closest to wherever the request was coming from would build all of the pickaxes. But now when I request 6, notice that it splits the work evenly between the 2 pipes because of the priority system. So they both made 3 pickaxes for me. The result there is that you can spread out your workload, especially on stuff like if you're using crafting pipes on thermal expansion machines that don't have the ability to go really fast. You could spread that workload out across a bunch of machines, which is nice. Speaking of thermal expansion, now is a good time to demonstrate real quickly how you can use both the priority system and the crafting pipes along with machines. So I have set up over here a really basic little LP network. I have 3 powered furnaces, and I want to show you something. You can force recipes into these crafting pipes. And the way you do it is like this. I'm going to teach us to make glass. So I put sand in there, and I put glass in the output, and now it'll know. So this particular network now knows how to make glass. I don't know why it thinks it knows how to make sand. Did I mess one of these up? Yep. Input sand, output glass. All right, good. So, okay, so now it knows how to craft glass. And you notice I have over here, I have a chest, and I have it full of sand, and I have a provider module hooked up to it. And we haven't set the priorities yet, and I want to go ahead and do this. So we're going to set these to priority 2. And this one's set to priority 0. Now, I want to show you something important. When you're using, for example, thermal expansion machines with crafting pipes, you have to set up the configuration very specifically. The input needs to be on the side that the crafting pipe is, and it has to have some kind of an output, and that output shouldn't be attached to anything. I don't know exactly why this works this way, but that is how it has to be, or you won't get your desired results. Let's come over here and let's ask it to make 6 glass. You notice that it filled up both of these because they have the same priority and they're a higher priority. And it's just going to shoot out my glass. Okay? And if we put on our HUD goggles, and I do it again, you'll once again see the work split between them. So then I can go and add this to that priority, to the same priority as the other 2 pipes. And it's making them. And if I do 6 one more time, now you'll see it'll split it between all 3 of them. So this is important. You've got to understand how to use these crafting pipes along with some machines. For example, you can use them with IC2 machines. Just the side that you put the pipes on are important. In this case, they have to go on the input side of the thermal expansion chest, and the output has to be set, but not necessarily attributed to anything. So just a little example of how you can use priority along with crafting pipes and machines to do different things. The last thing I want to demonstrate as far as basic advanced functionality. So as far as advanced functionality goes, is how you can work with modules a little bit more efficiently. For example, we're going to need our network monitor again. Let's say you wanted to have, I don't know, all your provider modules configured a certain way, okay? So you have a stack, let's say, of provider modules, half a stack of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of aim in the air, and I'm going to shift right click, and it's going to open up my provider module interface. So from here, I can set it to include or exclude. I can set my filters. I can switch it, the mode type to whatever I want it. And it's going to impact that entire stack all at once. So if I wanted to have all these providers filter water buckets, for example, now, if I were to go and place those in a chassis, do I have an empty chassis anywhere? I have one of these is Mark III's is empty, right? Yeah, so now if I were to put one of these in there, by the way, you can right click directly on a chassis with the module to insert it. I don't remember if I covered that or not. So now this provider is going to come pre-programmed with leave first stack and have water buckets in it. Pretty straightforward. And very powerful, especially if you're doing big builds. Let's see. Is there anything else you wanted to cover as far as just regular mechanics, Sora, before we start talking about how it works with other mods?
Yeah, sure.
There was something else you wanted to go over, or no, there wasn't?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, okay, cool. So let's talk about how we can use logistics pipes to make our lives easier with other mods. Let's start over here. We've got a really basic MFR setup. We've got power down there at the bottom. Let's replace this so it stops blinking at us. We got power down at the bottom, and we have just a planter and a harvester and a fertilizer. And you know, these harvesters output both sludge and their items. And so what I'm going to demonstrate here, oh, you see that? The harvester just cut one. I'm going to go ahead and throw some fertilizer in here. And you'll see as the harvester cuts the wheat that it is generating sludge, which is being output and pushed into our basic pipe here, which has sludge configured on it, okay? And this is a liquid insertion pipe. We talked about that when we set up the BuildCraft pump. And what's going on there is the insertion pipe is filtering items down to where they're supposed to go and filtering liquid into our logistics network system. Now, these two pipes don't have to be touching. They just happen to be touching to keep this a small, compact setup. I burned through all that yet? Almost. And so, as you can see, the tank ended up with a little bit of sludge in it, and all the items that we harvested all ended up over here in this chest, right where they're supposed to go. So, real simple, easy, straightforward way of managing your output from machines like the harvester or the mob grinder, things that output liquid and items. Now, this is something that a lot of people have asked me about kind of in passing, and it was, how do I make logistics pipes work with an applied energistics ME network? So let's talk about how that works. I've set up a really basic drive here, a really basic ME system here. And I've got a chest in which I can import things like gravel. Did I run out of power? I sure did. Let's get this thing powered back on here. Okay. So the import bus here will import items into the system. And here's my little drive. And let's see, what do I have in here? I have iron, sticks, and gravel. Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay. So if you look here in my remote ordering system, you'll notice I have, I don't know, all this stuff in here. So let's say, there's no diamonds in here. You see that? It's pretty clear, no diamonds. Let's go ahead and toss a stack of diamonds. Oops, not diamonds, diamond. Into our ME network. Just like that. Let's go change this to, oh, move stack. Okay, so it did. So now we've got diamonds in our ME network. We do not have diamonds in our logistics pipes network. The tesseract that I have here, remember I have a tesseract attached to that network over there with a basic logistics pipe. If I were to go into this tesseract interface and set it up to match a tesseract over on my main network right here. Okay. That is going to link the systems up. Oh, do I not have one over there? That's okay. So I'm going to put it on main here. And by selecting main, what's going on here?
Selecting main means you have 3 tesseracts selecting
Yeah.
main.
Oh, this one wasn't selected anymore. Okay, so here's my AENet tesseract, and I have that selected. And now, when I select AENet over here, it will activate, it will receive power, and now my little logistics pipe, my little tiny logistics pipe network over here is connected to that logistics pipe network. You'll notice I have a chassis here. In order to get logistics pipes to talk to AE, you have to build an ME interface and then use either a provider or an item sync or whatever type of interaction you want to do. If I'm inserting items into my ME network, I obviously want to use an item sync. If I want to be able to get things out, I want to use a provider. And now you'll see when I right-click my remote orderer, ta-da, now my logistics pipe network has access to the diamonds that are stored in my ME system. Okay? So ME system, ME interface, logistics chassis, and in this case into a tesseract. But it wouldn't have to be. I mean, if you just had a pipe over here that connected everything, it would work the exact same way. Make sense? All right, we'll come back to this build here in just a second. Sora, you want to walk us through what you set up over here with ComputerCraft?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a pretty easy script actually to just request for cobblestone if available. And yeah, it's just for explaining the basics. Actually, yeah, of course, any logistics pipe is a peripheral in ComputerCraft. That means you can, yeah, just get any logistics pipes as a peripheral. But the request pipe has some more advanced features to actually request items, and also you can get the available items in your system, so you can look up what you got. So what I did here is actually we just start on line 3. The can access is actually just for checking if the pipe has energy and if it's available, so I can actually just get just a request from it, right? So what I did then is get the available items in the logistics system, and this is actually very basic. You always get the available items, and then you just count through them with the 4. Yeah.
Hang on. So you guys that do a lot of ComputerCraft probably are going to understand this, but available items is going to output this P get available items. It's going to output as a table, and the table is a nested pair of tables. And what he's doing on this line is just sorting through it to get some information, which he's about to explain.
Yeah, the information is also a table again. And that means that V on here has the table on it, and the first entry in that table is actually the SIID. That is a pretty advanced ID from the item. It actually is some kind of a hash code. That means it has included the NBT, and it's unique for NBT, damage, and item IDs. So that means all these 3 kinds of combinations make the SSID. Yeah, pretty basic. And the second thing is the amount. So it actually gives you the SSID and the amount back from that available items. Yeah, then I just, of course, you can get the item ID from that SIID with this function, get item ID. And then you can check if that's 4. 4 means cobblestone, and yeah, and it tells you have the amount of cobblestone in your system, and if the amount is over 4, it actually requests that 4, just for cobblestone. Yeah, and which is also pretty important is on the sleep. after the make request. You can see the make request, by the way, takes the SSID, SIID, the amount, which is 4 in this case, and this false means it is not basically crafting those 4 cobblestone. If I would say true here, it means that it tries to craft 4 cobblestone, and it only tries to craft them. If I say 4 false, it means that it just requests them like a normal request pipe, and yeah, that's it. So the sleep 0.1 is actually 0.1 is over 1 tick, means the time is more than 1 tick, which is pretty important at this point, because if you make more than 1 request, it's not really important in this case because I only make 1 request. If you make more than 1 request, you may get trouble because the ComputerCraft program, the cycle is taking too long for the computer and it's aborting the whole program. And that, yeah, of course, is not good. So if you just set up a sleep after the request, ComputerCraft sleeps the thread for that time. It can handle all the other things it has to do, so it won't end up getting aborting your program because it's taking too much time. So yeah, that simple sleep is just here for show you because it's nowhere on any wiki or something. Yeah, pretty important.
Okay, so let's make it do something. So now when we run it, we get an output. It tells us there's 128 in the system and it's requesting 4. And there's 4 in our chest. So let's run it again and again. And you notice the amount available goes down every time. And it's requesting 4 every time. And there it all ends up. So pretty powerful peripherals. If you have a computer on your request pipe, you can do all kinds of functionality with it, including reading what's in your system. So I had a build before where I used a computer to monitor how much netherrack I had in my system because I was using netherrack with magma crucibles for thermal expansion. And then the computer, via wireless redstone, would turn my nether quarry on and off depending on how much netherrack I had in my system at the present time. So lots of neat stuff you can do with that. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to show kind of a semi-complex, full build that you can do with a lot of the things we've been talking about. So, and I also wanted to show it on something that tends to, I guess, frustrate people a little bit. Let's get some of this nonsense out of my inventory. Okay, so I want to show what you can do with bees. So real quickly, I'll walk you through what the system does. This is my input chest. Notice it has a quick sort and a provider on it. And we're going to introduce a couple of new modules real quickly. The first one is the bee analyzer module. The bee analyzer module will take any unidentified bees and put them into an attached inventory. You notice it also has an extract mode. Extract mode is going to allow the identified bees that come out of the analyzer to be extracted. And you notice I've already got some honey pushed in here. You're going to need some resources to get a system like this going. Notice on the back of it, I have a supplier pipe. And why did I put that on there? I don't remember. I'm sure I did it for some kind of a reason. It'll come to me.
What?
So I don't know why I have that supplier pipe on the back. And then over here, we have a logistics liquid supplier pipe Mark II, and this is keeping 3 buckets of honey supplied to my analyzer at all times, okay? So we've got the bee analyzer module. The next module I want to talk about is called the bee sync module. And, let's come back to the apiary here in just a second. So the bee sync module lets me say, well, I want all drones to get dumped in this chest. And you notice it's not specific. So any drones that come in the system are going to end up in here. Then I've got this next one over that says princesses should get dumped in here, and then a last one that says queens should get dumped in here, okay? And then the last module I want to introduce you to is called the drone terminus module. And the drone terminus module works very similarly to the item terminus module, which is just if there's nowhere left to store whatever drone is trying to be stored in an item sink, that it will get dumped into the attached inventory, and then in this case pumped out into an obsidian pipe. So vanished. I'm sorry, a void pipe, yeah. They're both purple, you know? So there is actually a little bit of advanced functionality to the B-Sync I want to show you. And, you know, it's sort of advanced in some ways, but sort of limited in others. So just depending on exactly what you're doing here, you may be better off with like diamond pipes. But in this case, what you'll notice is I have an apiary set up, and I have drones and princesses, but only for meadows types. Okay? Now, if I wanted to, you notice these boxes in the middle? I could also specify some other things. Like, let's say I wanted only purebred drones. So I've got drones in the top line, purebred in the third line, and what I have to do to mark to make them linked is make them have the same color. So what it's going to do is basically read these as AND statements. So any drone that is a meadows drone and is a purebred bee will now get sunk into this attached inventory. And I could do the same thing for princesses. I could say I only want nocturnal princesses. So any meadows princess that's also nocturnal is going to automatically get sunk into this inventory. Now, I'm not going to leave those on because we don't have any specialized drones, but you can obviously do some sorting, some more advanced sorting. It doesn't support some of the things you might want, but it's got pure cave dwellers, pure flyers, strong flyers, and nocturnal, and variations of those things. So maybe in the future someone will make an advancement to those that lets you sort some of the more advanced stuff or some of the stuff out of extra bees. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. I have a centrifuge here, and I have it connected to an item sink pipe, and any honeycomb that enters the system is going to go here, right? And then there's also an extractor. So in will go the honeycomb, and out will go the little honey and whatever the byproducts of the honeycomb are. And that's just going to move us over here into the squeezer. And you notice I have, once again, an extractor on it as well as a honey drop item sink. So that's where honey drops will end up. And you'll notice over here I have another liquid pipe. This is a liquid extractor pipe. So as my honey drops get squeezed into actual honey, they will, thanks Zoro, they will end up getting ejected here into my network, and they will end up over here by our liquid logistics basic pipe with honey in it. And so you can see I've already squeezed a bunch just to have something to show you guys. So there's some honey in there, and there's also a provider pipe. Last but not least, I just have my default route set up over here. Why are you breaking my stuff? Oh, did I do that on that thing too? Sorry, I set this up late.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And then finally what I've set up is I wanted to have the ability to also bottle some of that honey. So I've got a supplier pipe. Oh, did you break my supplier pipe?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't turn it on yet. So I've got a supplier pipe, an extractor, and a regular supplier pipe, all set up to this powered bottler. So what I could do in this case, here's my ACT that's making cans, by the way. So what I can do in this case is open up my supplier, my liquid supplier, and let's tell it we want to keep some honey in there, and we want to keep, I don't know, 5 barrels of honey, or buckets of honey. And you'll notice my bottler gets filled up. And over here, let's say we wanted it to keep a stack of tin cans in stock. Oops, that didn't work. There we go. So now what's going to happen is it's going to keep tin cans flowing into my, there we go, into the bottler. And the bottler is going to use all the honey that it can in order to keep making cans full of honey. So we could do a couple different things here. We could instead of having the supplier pipe for the cans hooked up here, we could use a crafting pipe that would supply cans to it. That would only, you know, keep our network at a certain level of honey cans. But, you know, it's just an example of how you could use some of these things together in order to... Can you not get a bucket of honey anymore? No? Okay. In order to keep the system flowing. So let's see kind of how it works. I'm going to go ahead and throw some honeycomb in here. I'm going to let that process. I notice it went flying into my centrifuge. And as the centrifuge finishes with it, the product gets whisked off. The honey drops get whisked off. There they go, and they get squeezed, and those are all going to end up over here in this tank as honey. And remember, I have honey here in my analyzer, so let's go ahead and toss some bees in here. Notice the bees get pushed up into the analyzer. They start getting analyzed, and these are Meadows bees. So what should happen after this as it takes its time. Doesn't have an owner. Weird. So all those got identified. They're getting extracted. The first one landed in my apiary. Oh, it's stacking them in the apiary. I did not expect that to happen. Okay. For some reason, I thought only one would fit in an apiary. But anyway, so once that inventory runs out, they would go into my modules that are further away, and they would go drones and then princesses and queens as appropriate. But notice the first princess that I had loaded in there did get pushed into the apiary. And now you're going to see there's no room for this next one as she gets processed. And so she is going to end up, should end up over here in my princess chest. And there she is. Okay. And that'll just continue processing as bees would enter the system. It would continue to identify them. Once this cycle's done, I don't think I do have an extractor on it. So the extractor is going to pull the product out, and it's going to pull the whatever new bees are out, and those will automatically item sync to the appropriate places. So what you have here is a real simple, fully functional system that takes all of your bee input, processes it to the right machine, uses the liquid to not only analyze more bees, but can also make it into cans if you want to. Somewhere around here, yeah, see we got a bunch of honey cans. And of course has some storage for the liquid itself. Zorro, I'll tell you what, man, I think that covers everything we wanted to cover with logistics pipes. What do you think?
Yes, yes. So far, that's good.
Obviously, there's a lot more uses you can put this to. My goal here was to make sure there was a really good understanding of all the mechanics and a couple of ideas on how the system could be used in a more advanced way. And I think we accomplished that. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about logistics pipes. Thanks so much to Dav Bweki. Was that better?
Dav Bweki, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit,
they
yeah.
make fun of how I say his name. I don't care. And Zorro and the two arts, Art Bluestroke and Art Fours, and GUI PSP, and any other contributors that I've not named for logistics pipes. And to you guys on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. If you have questions, post them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them, or I'll make Zorro answer them. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Zorro.
Goodbye.